Anita today, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm so happy to welcome my guest today. Thank you for being here. And today, this is somewhere between summer and the beginning of fall. So you know what that means? It means it's apple picking time. I was out there a few weeks ago at the orchard, one of my favorite places out at Hawk's Orchard in Milton, and I got to talk with Darcie. She wasn't, sad to say, wasn't able to be here today because guess what she's doing? She's out there picking apples right now. So we're gonna muddle through without her, and we'll see a little clip in a little while of some stuff that we learned. So we're gonna start making some apple crisp. Oh, I almost forgot. I always like to give my guests a treat before we get started, so they just have something to nibble on. So my old-fashioned popcorn, Kettle style.
Thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. So, yep, real butter on there too, honey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yum.
So that'll keep it going until this is done, okay? So we're gonna start out. I've got 8 cups of apples. So I did actually cut these yesterday and then put a little lemon juice on them in the water and then stuck them in a bag. And you know, they turn a little bit, you know, but they're gonna be baked, so we're good. I see I missed a couple here, little big. So, okay, so, and what I figured out was 1 apple is about a cup cut up. So
What kind are they?
these are a mixture of Zestar and Ginger Gold. This is the Ginger Gold. This is the Zestar. It's got a little more red to it.
I bought a mixed bag at farmer's market last weekend.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I bought a mixed bag of those at the farmer's market last weekend.
The Zestar or the Ginger Gold?
Both. They were both in the
They're
bag.
so good. They are. I'll cut some of them up and y'all can try some. So we're gonna start out. We're gonna start out with some oatmeal, and you know you can. This is 2 cups of oatmeal, and it's about a half a cup of flour. Well, precisely it's a half a cup. And then I'm doing about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and the rest I'm going to throw over here in that. And where is, I need some sugar. I'm going to put, this is a stick of melted butter. And we're just going to mix that up. This is going to go on top. Just kind of a crumbly consistency. Try and get that butter all incorporated. Because some of that flour is going to seep down in there, and when the juices get going, it's going to get all, you know, thickened up a little bit. And really, that's about it. Not a whole lot of work to that. Okay, let me see. I got oh, there's my sugar right there, right in front of my face. Okay, this is a 1.5 cups of sugar, and I have a little bit on here. And let me get that mixed up. That's ready. And then I'm just going to give these a little toss. Get it mixed up. And ready. Easy, right? Easy peasy. Okay, so here's a little tip I'm going to share with you. Cheryl gave me this tip a while ago, and it's brilliant. Instead of spraying your pan over your counter where you've got spray everywhere, she said spray it in the dishwasher. That way when you turn your dishwasher on, it just gets washed away. No cleanup.
Great idea.
It's perfect. It's just getting the rest of the family to do it. So, that is there. Apples going in. Spread those around a little bit. And then this is just going to go right on top. And it's going to go in a 350-degree oven for about 40 to 50 minutes. Just depends on when it's a little crispy on top, and I like to press it down so that some of those juices get up in that. Okay, and this is going to go in the oven. Thanks. So I just had a comment from one of my guests that they like putting pecans in theirs. And who doesn't like pecans? So we're going to put some in. You could probably throw this in either with the apples or in when you mix up the oatmeal mixture. So I'm going to grab that real quick. And these are just going to get tossed on the top. Yeah, don't be shy with the pecans, right? And you made a comment too that you like to use brown sugar. Perfectly fine. Would add a little different dimension. Okay, back in we go. So the next recipe we're going to do a caramel apple salad, which is one of my favorites, and it's extremely easy to do. Now, this is the Zestar, this is the Ginger Gold. You know, if you don't go to an orchard, you're missing out on all kinds of fabulous apples that you are not going to find in the grocery store. Zestar is very similar to a Honeycrisp, and they're great for baking. So I'm going to give you some of these to try. So if at home you hear people munching, that's why. Okay. Yes, Mom, I washed my fruit. I know what they're picking this week is the Honeycrisp out there. Now these apples are actually seconds, what they're calling them, because we had hail damage this year. And she was real concerned about the hail damage. And you know, you can see, you know, like little dings on it, but when you peel it, you don't see anything. It's fine. And you know, it does not change the flavor whatsoever. They're fabulous. Y'all take a bite, try some of those. And I'm going to cut up, I'm going to need 3 cups of apples. So let's see here. And I'm going to leave the skins on. If there's any really bad spots, I'm going to take that out. I'm just going to kind of guess here. No, it's not a huge, you know, if you go over a little bit. So, what's the only apple that's not an apple?
Pineapple?
Pineapple! You got it! You win the prize!
Wow.
I'll have to think of a prize. So. Okay, so why did the apple cry? It got its peelings hurt.
Oh.
Oh no, Tina makes me do this. It's her fault. It's all Tina's fault. Can you tell the difference between the Ginger Gold and the Zestar?
No, we need more samples.
You need more samples? You're going to get some.
Ginger Gold may be a little harder.
Just a little bit? She said that the redder, the sweeter it is. In fact, while I'm cutting these up, why don't we watch the clip for my little trip out to the orchard? Hi, I'm Anita Day, and welcome to my new kitchen. Well, not my new kitchen, as you can see. I'm at Hawk's Orchard. This is Darcie Haakinson. I'm so glad you let us come out here today.
No problem. I'm happy to have you.
I know, it's apple picking season. So, you're busy, aren't you?
It's very busy. We're just kicking off our season, and yeah, it's very hectic. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's thrilling. My grandson is saying, "Can we go by the orchard?" They're not open yet. It's like, oh. Okay, so to answer his question first, when is apple cider going to be ready?
We'll have apple cider this weekend, and from every weekend on now,
Excellent.
as long as we're open.
Excellent,
So.
excellent. I've got a nice little. What is this one?
This is the Honeycrisp.
Honeycrisp. Okay, so you have just rows and rows and rows of.
Yes, different. We have 14 varieties of apples.
Okay,
So
can you name me a few?
I can. Starting off, well, these are Honeycrisp. We have Galas, we have Harlesons, Zestars, and Ginger Golds we'll have this weekend. A lot of people ask why they're not all ready at one time. Our apples are ready starting at the end of August at different times each week throughout until October. So middle October.
Just an FYI,
so.
this is really good. Right off the tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I know it with past experience, your apple cider is different each week because of that, right?
It is. We have a Apple Barn actually presses a cider for us too, and it's a mixture of apples. That one has a UV process which filters out bacteria. It just helps, just kind of, it lasts a little longer in the fridge.
Okay.
And then we have a friend that does a fresh press for us each week of the varieties that are ready. So there's no UV process to it. It's just freshly pressing the cider.
Which is the better. I mean, I like it better myself, the fresh press. So how long does the fresh press last in the fridge? Like a week?
I would say a week to 2 weeks.
It never lasts that long in my house.
Yeah.
A couple of days and it's gone.
Yes. Another thing with the fresh press, some people like to make hard cider. It's easier to make hard cider with the fresh press.
Oh.
If it has the other process, there's more steps you have to take to try to do the hard cider. So for people that love hard cider, that's the one you want is the fresh press. So.
I tried doing that when I was in high school, taking some apple cider and I was fermenting into my room, and you take the top off and go poof. And it was the nastiest taste. I didn't add anything to it. I had no clue what I was doing. Didn't drink that stuff.
So, and then I would say, so the fresh press lasts maybe 1 to 2 weeks, and then the UV process lasts about 2 to 3 weeks. If you have a weakened immune system or real small children, it's better to probably go with the UV process rather than the fresh press.
Okay.
So
Good to know. So, Honeycrisp, they're great for eating. Good
for baking too.
Are
I
they
know
baking?
people don't think about it as being a good
didn't.
baking apple too, but the nice thing about the Honeycrisp, they hold their crispness the longest out of the apples. They'll last for months in refrigeration.
Okay.
So,
well, and then what are some of the other rows here? You've got Gala.
Galas, yep. Those are a nice kind of dessert apple, nice and crispy, a little smaller apple.
They're redder from.
They are. Well, those are about ready to be picked now. So that'll be our next variety. We'll start off with Zestar and Ginger Golds, and then the Galas are next.
Okay.
Probably the Honeycrisp will start.
Ginger Gold.
picking.
That's kind of a new variety to me.
It's a newer variety. It's a Golden Delicious Albemarle Pippin mix.
Ooh.
It's nice and crisp, good for eating or baking, makes a great apple pie. They are just kind of a nice size too. Again, another early variety. Usually the Golden Delicious are a late variety in October, so this makes it an earlier variety, kind of a Golden Delicious type. So.
And my personal favorite here, well, I love the Honeycrisp, but it also is the Zestar. And some of these varieties you don't find in the grocery store.
Yeah. Zestars, it's reasonably new. The nice thing about the Zestars is that they're kind of nice and crispy. They have a red and a green side. The side that gets exposed to the sun obviously is the more red side, but it's sweet on that side. It's more tart on the green side. So you get kind of a nice mixture. If you want to, a lot of times people mix apples for different flavors, and each apple has a little different flavor of its own.
Right.
I don't think there's too many apples, that taste consistently the same as the Zestars.
Right.
If you like them more tart, go for the ones that have a little more green.
Okay.
If you want them in, if you want them more sweet, the ones with a little more red too
Okay.
is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
I learn something new every day.
Yes. So.
That's the rule, right?
Right.
You're supposed to learn something new.
Do you try, anyways?
Yes, you
I
try.
learn something new every day here. So.
Well,
yeah.
what are some of the other products that you carry in your store?
Well, my father-in-law started a business called Stump's Hot Olives, and so
That's your father?
that was my father-in-law. And unfortunately, he's passed away, but we still do carry his products. It's like having a little piece of him here. We have it's a line of products. There's Bloody Mary mix, there's olives, pickled mushrooms, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and jardinera. So a lot of different things there. We carry some flavored popcorn, some kettle corn, caramel corn, like brown bear crunch. Like I said, the cider. Usually we have pumpkins. We had a really good year. This year might not be as, that's farming. You just never know sometimes.
Absolutely.
What you're,
because we were talking about some of the little dents and dings that you get in apples
Yes.
because we had hail.
right.
And it doesn't affect the flavor at all. It might
Not at all.
look this.
And unless it's, if it's not split,
Right.
if it's split, then that's, the apple could rot. So you don't want to use that one. A lot of times those may go to cider.
Right.
But if it's just a blemish on the apple tastes wonderful. It's
Yep.
just a little marking on the apple.
Right.
So
You're doing something new this year.
we are doing something new this year. We have cider donuts.
I can't wait.
And they'll be made fresh every day. We'll keep them going as long as we're open. It smells wonderful when we have them going. So
like walking into the movie theater and you're smelling the popcorn and you have to buy it.
they're awesome.
Yeah.
We're still. It is something very new to us. So we are still. I know it's going to get busy.
I'm available for taste testing.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
remember that. So we'll probably come in a little early, get the machine started, so we can kind of have them ready
Some
as
ready.
people come in and keep them going pretty much throughout the day. So we
Awesome.
expect that to be a good seller. Everybody's been asking since we started, where are the donuts? I said, well, now we can say they're here.
They're here. Yeah.
So
I'll be here first thing
Yes.
Saturday morning.
we'll be ready for you.
Okay. So, what are some of your duties when you're not open, like in the off season? Because you have a fast season,
Yes.
2-3 months,
Right.
and it's done.
Right. I know a lot of people think, well, you just plant the trees, pretty easy, right? And then you just pick them when they're ready. But there is a lot of maintenance and a lot of care to put into the trees throughout the year.
And don't some trees have to be pruned specifically?
They do. And usually the pruning time is in the winter. Around January or so is kind of a good time.
And you're knee
hopefully
deep in
when
snow.
Well, hopefully, yeah. If you can get it in when you're not trudging through so much snow. But really, you want to prune the trees so they get good sunlight. You want to kind of have layers so the sun can penetrate in and they get good color. Sometimes on these dwarf trees, if the branches are too thick, it's not good. They say you're not growing wood, you're growing apples. So you want to get rid of some of those really thicker ones, and especially
really?
towards the bottom, if they're going to touch the ground, get rid of those.
I know, because some of these, each branch has got like 20 apples
Well,
on it.
and when they do, that's another thing that we do too. Once they bloom and the apples start taking, we can kind of see, usually there's a cluster of five blooms. In the spring, we'll go through and we'll thin the apples. So I hand thin the apples. So it's a time-taking process.
No
but I'll go through and I'll
kidding.
cut away, let's say there's 5 that take, I'll cut away maybe 3 or 4 of them and leave the
Really?
one. So then, again, if it's too heavy, the branches break. And the tree is just that all the energy is, you can use up all that energy and then it won't produce like the next year. Like
Right.
this tree right here
Right.
doesn't have any apples on it. It had a lot last year, so it must, be rusting this year. So sometimes
Okay.
they do that. So that's why you want to make sure you thin enough so you distribute the energy so they produce consistently each year.
So sometimes I see people have apple trees in their yards, but their apples are like that big. And that's probably why, right? Because
Right.
they're not trimming it
Right.
the way they should.
Yep. If you want them to be good size, you want to cut away so that energy goes, because that's a lot of energy to
Right.
get all those apples going. So.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we do that in the spring. I also do some training if we have new trees. I put some tension on the limbs. Ideally, if the limbs grow up more straight, they're stronger, more durable, can hold the weight more. If they kind of grow up like this and they bow over, then they break easier
Right.
too. So that's another thing that we do in the spring
Well,
as well.
and I've seen
so.
some orchards that the trees are trimmed. They look really spooky and creepy because they're just all down.
Yeah.
Is that like a different type or just a...
You know, each variety is a little different. For instance, like our Cortlands are really it almost looks like a willow tree. Like they come down
Right.
just differently. Each one kind of has its own way of growing. And
Right.
we actually had, when we first started, because they are so different, we had someone come in and help us with the pruning, knowing that each variety is a little different. And there's a little different technique for each variety too.
Right.
So
How long have you been open?
we started planting trees in 2010. And then we opened to start selling on the weekends in 2013. About 3 to 5 years it takes for that
Okay.
to start
I would've-
producing
I would have
regularly.
thought it was longer than that.
Yeah, these dwarf trees are a little quicker producing than,
Right.
but they're also, like I said, they're fragile. So that's why a lot of times we don't offer a lot of U-pick, just because, you know, you can pick off next year's growth. If you're picking them wrong, they break easy, they fall easy. So we're kind of careful when we go through and we pick our apples and also I like to color pick. So I'll go through and I'll pick the ones with the best color, and you can see how some are redder than
Right.
others. And then we kind of let those other ones, you know, get more sun and get more flavor.
Okay, so they're kind of, you know, when you see them in the stores, they're very nice and shiny, and I know they run them through something, and sometimes they dip them in wax up, you know, and it's just
Yeah.
gross. So these are super fresh. They don't have
Right.
anything on them, but it's kind of almost dusty looking. Is that just from?
Just there's also throughout the year, another thing we have to do is we do soil testing and follicular testing to see. The apples need calcium, and you can spray calcium on there
Oh.
too. There's nutrients that they need to help them grow and help the trees. So that is one thing that is sprayed on that helps the apple development, and it helps if a tree doesn't have enough. You know, sometimes it will have, it'll grow a little
So
differently.
just a little
too,
brush
so.
on your.
Yeah, and we usually always, once we pick them, we wash them through our washer, and then we sort through, and the ones that go to cider, you know, they're all washed, and then
Right.
we send them off
They're
for
just
cider,
ready.
so, and they're ready to press,
Wow.
and so, yeah.
Well, I'm super excited for this weekend, and I hope you have lots and lots of business coming out.
Thank
and
you.
You're sleep deprived, and
Little bit, yeah. But it's fun, and you know, everybody's excited to come, and I think it seems like a happy place to be. You know,
It
people
is.
enjoy the fall, and I'm always welcoming people to take a walk around. I know because we don't have the U-pick, you're welcome to walk around and look and just see the trees. Sometimes it just
Yeah.
feels good to be out in nature and look at how they're growing, and you know, you can kind of learn a lot just by. And if we have any, you know, if you have any questions, of course, ask us, and we can hopefully answer.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
anything you're wondering too.
well,
so.
I wish you all the luck, and
Thank you.
I'm excited to go get some apples and take them back to the kitchen.
Thank
and
you.
do some baking.
Me too.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You know, something new out at Hawk's Orchard, they are doing this year, they're doing apple cider donuts. I was so excited to be out there, and I have some. Would y'all like to try one?
Yes,
Yes.
if you insist.
I know, I insist. Okay, there you go.
Oh my goodness.
I know, they're so darn good, it's ridiculous. Okay, are they good?
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. I know you guys are going to go into a sugar coma here in a little bit. Usually I do something like an entree or something, at least gets you to the dessert part. But, so, here's the little leftover summer salad with your apples. We are going to start out with a box of butterscotch pudding. Okay? And
Instant or regular?
this is regular. You can use either. It doesn't matter. You could use the sugar-free if you want to. If you have those concerns, you can use light Cool Whip if you want to. I'm gonna put the Cool Whip in the bowl first. This is just an 8 ounce. Everything I always need is always behind me. Okay, and that. And that can go. And then I'm just making a little hole there. Pour that in. And I'm just gonna mix that up. See if I can get it not to fly all over the place. And this is what gives it that caramel flavor. Since there's not caramel pudding. I have to make sure it's okay for you. Now ideally, you're going to want to let this sit a bit. So make it a few hours or so before you serve it. Come on, off there. Okay, and we're going to add a whole can of pineapple with the juice. The apple that's not the apple.
And that's a crushed.
That's just crushed, yep, crushed pineapple. That juice helps get that pudding mixed. I'm going to do a cup of marshmallows. And this is kind of why you want to do it ahead of time a little bit, so the marshmallows kind of get soft and yummy. Boy, that just doesn't look like enough marshmallows to me. There's no rule. I don't like following the rules. So, this also calls, I'm going to go ahead and put my apples in. Now that's the mixture also. It's always nice to have a little variety in your life. It almost looked like it was going to be too thin with all that juice, but it's thickening up. That pudding's going to help make it thicken up too. Okay, so now here's a choice for you. Calls for dry roasted peanuts. So you can use dry roasted, or if you want to kick it up a notch, you could use honey roasted. What's your vote?
Honey.
Honey roasted? Okay, honey roasted. This is a cup also. Yeah, that's good. And we're just going to stir that up. Oh, I got a peanut escaping. Can you smell the honey, the apple crisp cooking yet?
Mm-hmm.
I know, anytime you could put plain cinnamon in your oven and turn it on, and it's going to smell good. All right, we're going to just try this just to make sure that your guys are not being poisoned or anything.
My mother used to do that.
Your mother was a smart woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh. See you later. Bye-bye. All right, so we're ready to serve this up. I want to take the opportunity to thank my sponsor today, Darcie out at Hawks Farm. And we are going to, also I'm going to thank the granite guy who came and did my kitchen counters from the granite house, Michael. Still loving it. So I'm going to dish this up for everybody. Oh, I guess I should take the honey crisp, or the apple crisp out of the oven. So I think, do you need some ice cream to go with this? Yeah, I know it. I know it. I want to thank my guests. guests for coming today. I really appreciate you. I know I'm making you suffer eating this. It's tough, but somebody's got to do it, right? Thank you for joining me, and teach a child to cook, because someday they might be taking care of you. You want to be able to eat right. You know, share your recipes. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Let's eat. Yay.
Thanks, right.
Thanks for having me. Welcome. You know, this is the perfect food. Really. You can take it, stick it in your pocket, eat it. You can grill it. You can applesauce it. You can juice it. You can fry it. You can eat it raw. Perfect. That's why the doctor says an apple a day, right?
So the characteristics of a gala apple generally tend to be a little bit smaller in size, but nice and crisp. Nice dessert apple. Nice little lunchbox apple, we call them too. Great for kids' lunches because they're a little bit smaller. Sometimes they don't have a lot of time for lunch and they can just eat those quickly. Okay, so these are our Honeycrisp, the cherished Honeycrisp. A lot of people love these. They're probably the longest keeping apples. They stay nice and crisp from being picked. Sometimes other apples will start crisp, but they'll soften a little bit with storage, but these do hold their crispness the longest. So these are still ripening on the trees, but we'll be ready usually mid-September.